Yes, inakuwaje watu wangu wa nguvu, kama kawaida, this is your boy Daniel Onsare hapa hivi, and of course niko na mheshimiwa and we want to have a talk. Nimemwambush tu kwenye niko tuko hapa the Herons, nimemwona nikasema lazima tufanye something, and of course him being the humble mheshimiwa amesema why not. Habari mheshimiwa?
Mzuri sana.
We want to appreciate you for the interview first of all.
Asante kabisa.
Huko Nairobi Monday watu wana expect kwa nyumbani unapika kazi kunaendaje?
Tunajua Nairobi ndio mahali watu wanakuja alafu wanajirejuvenate. Nimekaa nyumbani wiki karibu mzima. And you know, tomorrow we have parliament. And there's a lot coming up in parliament tomorrow and the day thereafter. So it was very important that today I come to Nairobi to plan. As usual, I leave the city on Thursday, and then I come back on Monday. Yeah.
And watu wa Western mmekuwa so vocal in terms of politics this 2022-2027 season, and from the look of things most of you wanajituma sana. Kuna wewe, kuna Peter Salasia, kuna yani wacha tu tuseme waheshimiwa wote wa Western, you're trying to prove something to the people that you're doing your work in a way that is needed. Why is it that you're so vocal in pale online? Hatujui kama ground mnapiga hiyo kazi yenye tunaona online.
Of course, I mean, whatever I have done in my constituency speaks for itself. I've built more than 45 story buildings of 8 classrooms and above. I've built more than 15 primary schools from scratch, where you build 20 classrooms, 18 classrooms. So I have done pretty very well, and the reason why I work very hard is because I'm young. You know, I'm young. I don't want the people of the community to render me jobless. If they do so tomorrow, I mean, it will be very detrimental. Yes, you know, yes. And the beauty and the advantage of electing a young person, that this young person will be very innovative. He will stretch his hand beyond the normal, so that you make good use of your long political career, and you preserve your political career, because if it's terminated, where will you going to go? Mutembei cannot give me an employment, you know. So that's why some of us we are very busy with the development of our constituencies, and most importantly, why we are very vocal is because we are in touch with the electorates. Unajua kikuwa unakaa na wale raia ambao wana matatizo ambayo walikuchagua uwasaidie, you will be able to understand what is going on, what they expect. So you only vocal on matters that the people want to hear. So if you don't know what the people want, what the people are going through, then you can't be vocal, even if you are vocal, because you have no content. We talk about when you see a politician being vocal on a myriad of issues, it means that politician is in touch with his people, is able to understand. He has the syllabus of what bedevils the people that he or she is leading. Yeah.
Is there anything that is supposed to be done for those MPs who are nominated or elected to be in parliament, but they end up not speaking for the whole term, 5 years?
I think there are two. You look at it in two areas. You know, you can be vocal about matters affecting your people on the floor of the house in parliament, or you cannot just even be vocal about them in funerals, as long as the agencies will pick whatever you are talking about and implement. So you cannot really judge a person on whether he is speaking in parliament or not. You know, you have to look at a number of issues altogether. Yeah.
And maybe perhaps just to ask, Mumias and many other Western sugar companies are now not working, and maybe if some of them are working, there is some political issues in those companies. What can you tell Kenyans, what were Western about the sugar companies?
You know, I am a believer that people engage in sugarcane farming to be able to earn a living. so that once the cane matures, the beauty of the people who are sugarcane farmers is to get someone buy their cane, give their money so that they can use the money to sort out their financial problems, school fees, medical bills, etc., and so on. So I am a believer in a free market economy, that you do not tie a farmer to a particular factory. If that factory is unable to pay that farmer, and there is another person who is willing to buy the cane at a good price and pay the farmer on time, you should never deny a farmer that opportunity. So we want to liberalize cane farming, that anybody available to buy cane, we're able to buy cane. I am against zoning. And we must also revamp these factories. These factories, the machines are old age. They are old fashioned. We now have a new technology. We have the new technology, lean machine, that are able to crush cane by consuming less power, and the efficiency. They will mint all the sugar from the bagasse. But the machines we have in Zoya Sugar, in Chemelil, in Mumias Sugar, these are machines that were designed in late 70s, in early 80s. The technology has been overtaken by events. We are in the digital era. We are in the very huge machines with the very huge boilers. They consume so much power, and the efficiency is maybe 60%. After they have crushed the cane, the majority of the sugar is left to go to waste through the bagasse. So for these factories to be competitive, they need to be overhauled, bring in fresh machines that embrace modern technology. That is the only way that we are going to revamp our sugar sector in this country, and also limit the people who are sabotaging the revamping of these state-owned factories are the cartels in the sugar sector. The people, the business people who have been importing sugar into this country to meet the sugar shortages. These are the cartels, these are the people who have been sabotaging the revamping of the sugar sector in this country, and we are going to ensure that they do not succeed in whatever they have been unleashing to government for very many years. We want to protect our local farmers. We want to ensure that farming in this country is profitable. And most importantly, Kenyans should also understand that the country Kenya, naturally, by God himself, is divided into different geographical areas with different economic activities. People of central Kenya, business people, others are farmers. They do dairy farming, they do coffee farming, some parts do tea. The people of Mombasa, coconut, palm oil, you know. The people of Western Kenya, they engage in farming of maize, coffee and sugarcane, and some parts of Western Kenya, they do tea farming. So for us as a government to be able to appreciate our farmers across this country, we cannot be advocating for lowering the cost of certain products that are produced locally. If you say that the cost of, for example, unga is debatable, because the people that engage in maize farming would want the cost of unga to go up so that they can break even from their maize farming. And so are the cane farmers. The cane farmers will want their sugar to retail at a good price so they can also make some money. Same with milk, same with the coffee, and the Kenyans have no problem even when if the cost of living is high, as long as the cost of living commensurates with the amount of money that they are getting from selling their produce. They will have no problem. Even you, if you have more money in your pocket, you wouldn't care. For example, a maize farmer who is being paid 300 shillings per korogoro of maize, he wouldn't bother if a packet of unga is retailing at 200 bob. But they will have problems if the cost of living is high, and also the cost of the raw materials that they are injecting in the process industry is low. That's when the country will be in economic turmoil, and every sector will struggle with economic epilepsy.
And perhaps, I know you have political differences in some parts of Western. You and PK Salasia, do you support what the kind of noise that is making about Mumia's sugar?
I've, myself and Salasia, we don't think from the same wavelength. We think from a different wavelength. Me, I comment on things from a point of knowledge, not from a point of ignorance. I don't just make noise for the sake of making noise. And I believe I am completely different with Peter Salasia. Him, he makes endless noise. Me, I make projected noise to a particular person. I apply soft power. I apply some kind of diplomacy. I murmur to the correct ears. Peter Salasia makes noise at the wrong ears, but because I have access to the President of the Republic of Kenya, I have access to many CSs, many PSs, and that my murmuring about something is taken very seriously by various economic groups within our government that will be able to turn them into kind of a policy. So the difference between myself and Peter Salasia is that Peter Salasia makes noise to the wrong ears. Me, I murmur to the correct ears. But so whatever I say, the government of Kenya will pick it up, turn it into a policy, and implement it. So that's the difference between me and Peter Salasia.
Do you support what he normally does or says about Mumias? That's
absolutely. I support it in one sense that he is positioning himself as the defender of the weak. He is positioning himself as an advocate on issues that affect his people, and he is showing his commitment on that aspect. I support him, and I will urge him to continue.
And saizi tuko na mambo ya bipartisan talks. What is your take on that?
It's a waste of time, and I want to take this time to tell the leader of majority and leader of minority, the Honorable Kimani Chungwa and Opio and I, that what they are engaging in is an exercise in futility, and they are wasting taxpayers' money. Even if they might reason and say that they are meeting in bombers and that they are footing their own bills, I want to tell them that even their salary is paid from taxpayers' money. If they have got too much money that they can spend some on buying tea for Kalonzo Musyoka, fueling their cars to be driven to Bomas of Kenya for those meetings, let them find some funerals in their constituencies and go and attend, and give that money to assist the burial programs for the deceased families. I say so because Kenya, we have a constitution. We went into an election. Raila ODINGA lost elections, William Ruto won elections, and if the government of Kenya has time, that they can utilize this time to engage in some talks and in some discussions. Let them begin to engage with the wananchi. Let the wananchi give them feedback that so far, after Kenya Kwanza government was voted in, how has the Kenya Kwanza government responded to the plight, responded to the problem that they go through every day, so that we can use those meetings to improve our services as a government. But whatever we are doing today, it is a waste of time. It's basically baseless. It is nonsense. We can't be coming up from an election, then the losers begin to find a way to engage the government. Let me tell you, all these coalitions went to campaign before Kenyans, and they had different manifestos. Kenya Kwanza, we had our own agenda, which we sold. Azimio had their agenda, which they sold. Kenyans bought our agenda. And after 5 years, we will go back to Kenyans again. We will defend our records. So we cannot have the hand of Azimio directing on what we should do as government, because political marriages don't work. You get my point? Political marriages don't work. The way the fabric that drives how politics is done in a country is like a polygamous marriage. A polygamous marriage, your co-wife cannot show you a proper firewood for you to cook food nicely. She will sabotage your cooking style so that the husband you are sharing gets away from your home to go and live with her. So in fact, what the Asmio can purport to tell us to do, we know. They are just plotting a hole for us to drown. Because they can't be, their aim is not to make us improve our governance. Their aim is to sabotage our governance. Their aim is to curtail us from focusing on the ball, which is the problem for Kenyans, and then we begin to chase wind. Now they have given us an agenda of some discussions. We wasted time in Parliament the other day, instead of discussing very many good things for this country, things that will benefit millions of Kenyan people. We were discussing about bipartisan talks through our motion in the National Assembly. And I want also to take this opportunity to tell Kimani Ichung'wah and his team, they must be very diligent. I know they are very intelligent. Kimani Ichung'wah went to Alliance High School, but I want him to be extra careful. Even when they go to Bomas of Kenya and they do these meetings, if there is any list they are signing, they must ensure that they are signing on each and every page, because as Mio have a tendency of plugging the last page where they have signed and appending it on another raft of documents that have got completely different agenda. You saw what happened during the signing of MOUs for political parties within Azimio coalition, within One Kenya coalition, where it was clear that even tenders lists that were used just to do a breakfast meeting, those signatures were used to mean that there was some coalition agreement, and it was very clear. So we are dealing with characters who have a history of falsifying documents to misinform various agencies, and that every page must be signed. And if Kimani Ichung'wah's signature is very basic, he should complicate it, because these fellas, my friend, you will be surprised that whatever meeting they are having, they will produce another document duping Kenyans to believe that this is what they had agreed that what they should do.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. We shall tutaendelea.
Thank you. Mko sawa?